Hey, good morning, guys. Thank you for watching the Driver Side Chats. My name is Philip. Thank you again for joining me on another beautiful day in North Carolina. Yesterday, the sun was hidden behind a bunch of clouds and rain, and it looks like there could be some potential for rain today, but the sun is out now, as you can probably see out my window, and I think it's going to be an amazing day. So I want to just go ahead and get right into it. Yesterday, I talked very briefly about how when you're a Dave Ramsey kind of person and you're living that way and it's working for you, people don't generally assume that your financial status is in good shape. Not necessarily saying you're rich, but you've got it under control, you know what you're doing, and you've got a plan and you're making it happen. All right, so I talked a little bit about the whole house thing, having 20% down, helps lower shorter terms, help you save money on interest charges, ... So I'm going to kind of carry that over today when we talk about paying off the house early, and also going to discuss the other baby step 4, which is also about saving for your children's college. We're going to do this into one video today, and if I need to stretch it out to a second video, definitely in the realm of possibilities, and we can do that. But first, I'm going to talk about something. I'm going to admit, I'm not the most knowledgeable on this. I don't have kids, and at this point, not expecting a kid. So this isn't something I've put a whole lot of time and effort into thinking about yet. Once my wife finds out she's pregnant, and I know that she's pregnant, at that point, I'll probably do a lot more research into it. But at this point, I'll be honest with you, I don't have a lot of knowledge about it. That's why it's going to be shorter. But saving for the kids' college. This is going to be huge, because ideally, if you can start when they're born, it makes the whole process a lot easier. But idea is you put it into an account. I believe it's the ESA, which is an educational savings account. And the way I've heard it, it's almost like the college fund is the IRA for college funds. So it grows tax-free, and then you use it for your child's education. Education, of course, it's going to be pretty necessary in the next 15 to 20 years. And so we've seen how the 15% for your retirement and stuff, and how that can build and grow, and you can become a multi-millionaire off of that. The idea is the same, except it's probably not going to grow, because you're probably not going to put as much into it. But what it's supposed to do is it's supposed to grow, and it's supposed to help you have a little bit of money for when your child goes to college. Now, little side comment on this. While I highly recommend doing it, just because, any good parent should want to help out their child. This is not a requirement. This is not something that you have to do. I understand some budgets are tighter than others, and some people have the flexibility to save up for this kind of stuff, some people don't. And look, that's completely okay. Because here's the great thing about a college student. They have the ability to work. If they didn't have the ability to work, they wouldn't be going to college in the first place. So, if they have to work a little to earn their degree, well, that's okay. They can do that too. But that's about all I'm going to say about the college savings account, just because, again, I don't know a lot about it. But if you're able to and you got kids, try to help them out a little bit. But the next one I'm going to talk about, baby step 5, and I might be getting them switched around, is paying off the house early. So let's go back a little bit. Let's backtrack. In baby step 1 and baby step 3, we built up our emergency fund to 3 to 6 months expenses. Now on baby step 2, we cleared out all of our debt except for the house. And because of that, now we have a little bit more wiggle room to play with in our budget. So that's where the 15% to retirement comes, because now you have a little bit of extra wiggle room. Plus, hopefully you have a little bit more money on the side that you're now bringing in that you can use to save up for a house. See, immediately after you start baby step 4, which is baby step 4, which is your 15%, that's pretty much an immediate, step jumper. Once you put that 15% in, you know how much you got left, you go right into the next step. And that could be paying off your house early. So when you generally get a loan, most people, the average person now, is doing between a 25 and 30-year loan. I highly, highly, highly encourage that you try to avoid that if at all possible, just because in the entire time that you pay off a 25 to 30 year loan, the interest that you pay is astronomical. I mean, it's like you buying the house 3 times over. I mean, that's how ridiculous it is. And I understand some people, that's all they can do. And if that's the best you can do, then look, I mean, you got to do what you got to do. I wouldn't hold anything against you for doing that. But highly advise a 15-year fixed rate or 20-year fixed rate if you can't do a 15. Simply because you will save hundreds of thousands of dollars on interest alone. Plus, when you can have the ability to pay a little bit ahead, it just reduces that term so much more and gives you more flexibility. So, highly recommend doing the fixed rate. And honestly, if you can pay it off early, I mean, shoot, go for it. It's kind of funny. The person in front of me right now is like giving me the hardcore stare down. But, you know, it's okay because it just looks like I'm talking to myself. That's all right. That's all good. I'm sitting at a stoplight. That's why it's kind of weird. But when you can pay off the house early, then obviously, hey, that's one less debt to have to worry about. If your mortgage is $1,000 a month and all of a sudden that house gets paid for, hey, that's $1,000 a month. You can do whatever you want to with it. So, pay off the house as soon as possible, right? So if you got this extra expendable income and you're already paying, you know, $1,000 a month, and all of a sudden you got $600 or $700 you can throw against it, I mean, by all means, go ahead and do that. You know, that's an extra $7,200 a year and $1,000 a month. You know, you're probably shortening your term by half if you're putting $600 or $700 a month towards the principal of your home. Just saying. So ideally, I know the baby step technically just says, you know, you just do your, you just pay off the house early, but I did want to throw in a couple little bits of advice about buying a home. Try not to get a long term. And I mean, of course, just do whatever you have to do to fit your budget. And again, I wouldn't place your kid's college as like an ultra high priority. I would, but you know, you got to take care of you first, and you got to understand that even if you have to, and if they have to get student loans, which by the way, scholarships, good idea, get a program for that. But if they have to get student loans and you want to try to help pay those off with them, or you know, there's always things you can do later to help them too. Of course, I hate student loans. I don't like the idea of it, but if you've got to do that, I mean, if you have to help them later, you can still help them later, and that would be fine too. But don't let their college rest entirely upon your shoulders, because they need to experience a little bit of work in it too. So encourage the scholarships and try to help them out if you can. Not a mandatory thing, but just highly advised. I worked through college. My parents helped pay for mine, but I still worked through some of it. And my parents were really generous with me. I ended up having, over the course of 2 years, it wasn't a lot of money, but my parents kind of surprised me with it. They had paid pretty much all my college up in advance for a couple of years. And you know, so during the course of like 2 years at college, I earned like $2,000, which wasn't a lot, but I worked on campus, and it was a minimum wage thing, and the college was really cheap anyway, so it wasn't like a lot of money. And my parents kind of surprised me and said, hey, just want to let you know we're proud of you. And they said, all that money you've earned, we're going to let you keep. So really nice of my parents, extremely generous. My parents worked hard, and they did it, but at the same time, they made me kind of earn it too. So something I'm thankful for, and I appreciate, and your kids will too. But that's really all for it today. You know, just the education thing and the housing thing. You know, do whatever you can to get out of debt, and again, do whatever you can to help out your kids when they go to college. And I'm sure in both ways you will benefit from it by giving, and then also getting rid of the burden that you have of paying a mortgage. So, all right, guys, I might have another video on mortgage. There's some other thoughts that have come to my mind that maybe I can share, but today is not the day, or now is not the time. So we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. As always, like and subscribe.